Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive. Ever wondered what happens when you pair a quick-witted Gemini with, say, a soulful Pisces? We're going to find out today. We're diving deep into whether these two signs are romantically compatible.
All right, sounds good. So what makes this pairing interesting right off the bat is that we're dealing with two totally different elements, and I mean that both literally and figuratively.
Yeah, we're talking air versus water.
Yeah, exactly. You've got Gemini, an air sign, so think communication, intellect, ideas, always buzzing around. And then you've got Pisces, and Pisces is a water sign. So we're talking emotions, intuition, really feeling everything deeply.
So on the one hand, you've got that chatty, quick-witted Gemini who's always up for, like, a good mental spar. And on the other, you have the deeply feeling Pisces who's kind of swimming in emotions. Is that a recipe for disaster, or could this actually work?
It's honestly a little of both. So, imagine you're a Gemini, right? You might be drawn to a Pisces because they have this emotional depth. It's different. It's intriguing. But, and this is but Geminis are naturally rational people, and that could overwhelm a Pisces. You've got to remember that they experience the world through their feelings.
Right, so a gentle reminder to my fellow Geminis out there, sometimes you got to put down the logic for a minute and just, be present. Feel those big feelings. Now, our sources say this whole air versus water thing can cause some pretty interesting dynamics in everyday life.
Oh, absolutely. So like I was saying, at first, that Pisces depth, it's captivating to a Gemini. It's mysterious, But as time goes on, that intensity can be a lot, even for a Gemini, especially because, Geminis, they thrive on mental stimulation, processing things intellectually.
It's almost like bringing a butterfly into a submarine. Like,
Right.
the butterfly is beautiful, free, but it needs air and space to be happy. And the submarine, well, that's made for the depths of the ocean. Totally different environments.
Oh, I love that. You're spot on. Different environments, different needs. Now, think about it from the Pisces side. They might be drawn to a Gemini's wit, that mental agility. But at the end of the day, Pisces, they crave emotional connection, like a real soul-to-soul bond, And that's something that a Gemini, at least naturally, might not be able to give them consistently. It's not that Geminis don't have feelings, it's just that they tend to express them differently.
Right, exactly. It's not that Geminis are heartless, just that they experience the world in a different way. But I can definitely see how that could lead to misunderstandings. I think our source gave the example of a Pisces feeling vulnerable and needing support. A Gemini, trying to lighten the mood, might crack a joke or try to offer a logical solution, and that could totally backfire.
100%. Because to that Pisces, that joke, even if it comes from a good place, can feel dismissive. Like their feelings aren't being taken seriously. It's like they're speaking different love languages, A Gemini might show love through playful banter, stimulating conversation, keeping things light. But a Pisces, they show love by sharing those deep parts of themselves, being there for you, empathizing.
So communication is key here. But it's more than just talking at each other. It's about understanding those fundamental differences in how you each experience and express emotions. So let's talk about the bedroom, because, when it comes to a Gemini and Pisces, things could get interesting.
Yeah, definitely interesting. You see, a Gemini, they approach intimacy with a sense of playfulness, like an adventure. It's light, experimental, all about mental stimulation.
And Pisces.
Pisces is looking for something much deeper.
So we're not just talking fireworks, we're talking like underwater volcanoes.
Yeah, exactly. For a Pisces, intimacy is all about emotional connection, vulnerability, really merging like souls, experiencing that deep spiritual bond through touch.
Okay, I'm already seeing where this could go wrong.
Right.
Because you have a Gemini who might not necessarily connect sex with, like,
Yeah.
deep emotions, right? And then you have a Pisces who needs that connection to feel satisfied.
Exactly. It can be confusing for both partners. Like a Gemini might not understand why their Pisces partner needs that foundation of love to be intimate, and that can leave the Pisces feeling kind of empty, even if the physical part is good.
And on the flip side,
On the flip side, a Pisces might think their Gemini partner is just not emotionally invested, even if, honestly, they're really enjoying themselves.
so is a sexual compatibility between these two just impossible?
Not at all. It just takes effort and understanding and a willingness to, meet in the middle. A
Yeah.
Gemini might need to tap into those emotional depths a little bit more, be more present, and maybe lay off the jokes in the bedroom.
And Pisces.
Pisces might have to accept that their Gemini partner expresses love in different ways. It's not that they're not feeling it, it's just different.
Right, communication is key, like we were saying before. And I guess that applies to more than just the bedroom, right?
Oh, 100%. Communication is huge for these two. Our sources all agree on that. Apparently, like real heart-to-heart communication can be a struggle for a Gemini and a Pisces.
Why is that? They both seem like pretty communicative signs to me.
It goes back to those core differences we were talking about, how they communicate. A Gemini, they process things intellectually. And a Pisces, well, they lead with their emotions. Sure, on the surface, they can have fun, they can joke around, have a good conversation. But when it comes to the deeper stuff, things get a little trickier. Like if you're talking about vulnerabilities or insecurities, long-term goals, those sorts of things, that's where the communication can break down.
It's almost like they're having two totally different conversations at the same time.
Yeah.
But okay, even with all of that, there's got to be some common ground, right? Like they can't be completely incompatible.
Oh, for sure. Nobody is completely incompatible. And that's actually a great transition because one of the best things about this pairing is that they're both creative.
Really? Because I got to say, their creative styles seem like total opposites. You have Gemini, who's super communicative, full of ideas. And then you have Pisces, who's like the ultimate dreamer, all about feeling and intuition.
Exactly. But that's the thing. When they find that balance, it can be magical. Because a Gemini can bring structure, they can take those abstract ideas and make them real, and a Pisces brings the artistic vision.
So instead of clashing, their differences become like their superpower.
Right. It's like this dance between logic and emotion, form and feeling. I think our source gave a good example. Imagine a Gemini who has all these great business ideas, but maybe they're not sure how to make them, exciting. And then they meet a Pisces who can bring that vision through art, maybe, or marketing that really speaks to people's hearts. That's how you build something incredible.
Absolutely. Okay, so they have that creative spark in common. What else?
Well, they're both mutable signs, which is huge in relationships.
Okay, for those of us who haven't memorized the entire zodiac, what does mutable mean again?
So mutable signs are adaptable. They go with the flow, always up for trying new things. You'll rarely find a mutable sign stuck in a rut, which is great for a Gemini who loves new experiences, and for a Pisces who's all about, emotional depth and growth.
So less about sticking to a rigid routine, more about like spontaneous adventures.
Exactly. It's about exploring together, seeing where life takes them, which honestly is a good metaphor for a Gemini-Pisces relationship overall. It's not always easy, but it can be really rewarding.
Totally. So any final thoughts on this pairing? Any advice for our listeners who might be in a Gemini-Pisces relationship or, thinking about taking the plunge?
One interesting thing our sources brought up is that this pairing tends to do well in social situations. It's like being around other people takes the pressure off a little bit.
So maybe instead of being each other's everything, a Gemini and Pisces need their own space to really appreciate their connection.
Maybe. It's definitely something to think about, because sometimes a little space is all you need to realize how much you care about someone.
That's so true. Well, on that note, I think it's time for us to come up for air. We've spent a lot of time exploring the depths of the Gemini-Pisces connection.
The ups, the downs, the good, the bad.
And most importantly, what makes this pairing tick.
Because at the end of the day, the stars are just a guide. It's up to each individual to decide what works for them.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's all the time we have for today, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.